Mr. Schellenberger, is the press afraid to attack President Trump?
No.
I mean, you can look at the front page of Politico. Every headline is an attack on President Trump, but that's what the ranking member of the subcommittee just said. Like, they're afraid. I mean, ridiculous argument. I yield to the gentleman. I recognize the gentleman from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 days ago, Senator Chuck Schumer created an online portal for federal employees to disclose wrongdoing and abuses of power. And in a way, I'm kind of glad he did this. He did this because I have been here for a while, and there's a plethora of abuses of power I've seen, particularly in the area of censorship. So at the top of my complaint list would probably be Joe Biden and his staff, because they continually pressured large social media platforms to change their content moderation policies, to have a built-in bias system against any speech, which even had a hint of criticism against the Biden administration. And you know, we do know one thing. Censorship can occur through an agent, through a direct link to government contact, even though it's a private entity that's censoring. We know that from the case law that's come out. But here we have Facebook admitted that it started censoring posts about COVID originating from a Chinese lab and content critical of the vaccine after tense conversations with the Biden-Harris administration, in which they were told to do more to combat speech, which has since been verified as true. Facebook officials described one White House advisor as outraged that Facebook didn't remove a meme. It was a joke about COVID-19. That White House advisor was Andy Slavitt. He would go on my list of people that you complain against. President Biden himself said that Facebook was, quote, killing people, close quote, for not taking down this type of content, which caused Facebook to change its policies further. Facebook employees would later say that this decision, quote, stemmed from the continued criticism of our approach from the Biden administration, close quote. Mark Zuckerberg even told Joe Rogan that people from the Biden administration, quote, would call up our team and scream at them and curse to take down things that were true, close quote. The White House employed the same kind of pressure campaign with YouTube, Amazon, and other platforms. We could also include Anthony Fauci in this list since he perpetuated falsehoods about everything from the vaccine, social distancing, masks, and more. And he demanded that these social media companies clamp down on anyone, including qualified scientists, who dared say anything that was contradictory of him. Then there was CISA, headed by Jen Easterly, who went out of her way to report posts on platform which they thought were too much against the administration's narrative. Then there's the FBI, who ordered platforms to censor the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop, despite knowing that the story was true because they had possession of the laptop. And we could go on and on. So, but I want to read. This notion here is that after this committee's oversight, and we did some good oversight, President Trump's resounding victory, the entities that I've just mentioned, CISA, the FBI, and DHS's cybersecurity, have all stopped their direct censorship activities. What do you think, Ms. Subramanya? How do we know that that's true? How do we know that they've stopped their censorship activities?
Sorry, who has stopped their censorship activities?
Well, allegedly the FBI, CISA, and DHS's Cybersecurity Bureau.
Well, we don't know. We don't know anything for sure. And I think this administration is only getting started by investigating these agencies. I think my own personal view on this is that it's essentially baked into the system right now. And it's going to be very hard to get rid of these tools of censorship. Oftentimes, they're shape-shifting, if you want to use that term. They're recast into different tools, but essentially it's the same tools of censorship that go after individuals. And as I reported on debanking, I'm very, very happy that this administration is finally paying attention to this very important issue of ordinary Americans being censored, being cut off the financial grid for having unpopular opinions. I believe there was a Senate Banking Committee hearing last week that heard from witnesses on the issue of debanking, which I reported on. That's pretty scary. So I'm very, very happy that this attention is finally getting, this issue is finally getting the attention it deserves, and hopefully average Americans will not get debanked in the future. But we don't know anything for sure. It's still too early.
Thank you. And I want to just comment on Mr. Aaron has said in his written statement, he's defining censorship as requiring government action. And yet, in order to get First Amendment protection, yet the Murphy v. Missouri case, which said that the plaintiffs did not get protection because they could not directly link the actions of government officials to their instances of censorship, that's very different than the Vallow case, NRA versus Vallow, where the courts, in a unanimous opinion, said because they could show a direct link. That's the critical issue here. And we know that the Biden administration, and we could show that direct link, that they were causing censorship. They were and this is the Vallow case relying on the 1963 case. They were using coercive tactics to get censorship, and that's the distinction, Mr. Aaron. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back.